Hey guys, and welcome to How to Code Basic. Today I'll be doing a live stream and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make a quiz online using HTML and PHP as well as a little bit of MySQL. The reason we're going to be using MySQL is to create a database, and inside that database we're going to go ahead and save the results of all of those who take our quiz. So for starters, we need to go ahead, we'll also be using CSS just to make the page pretty, and if you're really that into it, we can go ahead and use JavaScript if we have time. So for starters, I went ahead and created a folder ahead of time called Web Quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new HTML file inside of it. I'm going to go ahead and call it index.html. The reason I'm calling it index.html is so that when we don't have to go ahead and write index.html, because we can just write web quiz. So if you go ahead right here and refresh, you'll go ahead, or you'll be able to see that we're already here. And the way I can tell is if I go ahead and title this I'm going to go ahead and title it HTML quiz. That's what I'm going to do for testing purposes. So right now the title says HTML quiz. Now if we went to the actual file, index.html, it'll show the same HTML quiz. The reason is that the browser always looks for the index.html file. So if you give it a folder, it'll always look for the index.html. So now in the body, I'm going to go ahead and create a form. Now this form is going to be pretty much everything that we're going to need. Inside of this form, we are going to go ahead and make an H1. I'm going to call it HTML quiz. And I will go ahead and put these styles in the head as usual. So H1, text align center. So now we have some text in the center that says HTML quiz. So now the way we're going to go ahead and make our quiz is we're going to go ahead and make some H2s. These are going to be our questions. So since I have forgotten a lot of this stuff, I'm going to be cheating off of some things that I've made earlier. Like I made a test for my class once, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. So our form needs an action, and an action is a page that it goes to when we submit it. Now the page has to be a PHP page, so I'm going to go ahead in the folder and create a new HTML page. I'm going to call it grade.html, but like I said, we have to have a PHP page, so go ahead and rename that page as PHP. So now it can contain all of this HTML code because PHP works very well with HTML. Just remember to put in these question mark, or the left arrow, question mark, PHP, and then question mark, right arrow. So now right here we can go ahead and type in our code. So I'm going to go ahead and make it simple for now. Okay. And it's going to read hello world. Go ahead and close that with the semicolon, and then go ahead and save this. Actually, I need to put a submit button first. Submit is not a thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in just a button that says submit. So now automatically a button in a form will submit a form. So now we have a submit button. When I press it, it'll redirect us to, that's right, we haven't went ahead and done anything. So in form action, you have to put in the file name. So if the file is in the same exact folder, then you can go ahead and just write the file name. But if the file name is not in the same exact folder, then you cannot write just the file name. You have to go ahead and put in the whole file or you have to go ahead and put in the whole file path. So now get rid of that question mark, go ahead and refresh, click on submit. It's going to open that PHP page that says hello world. So that means we know that our little link is now working. So for now, okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put in a name input so that we can get the name of whoever's doing it. So the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna have last name first, input type is text, name is last name. Go ahead and do this as well. ID, no, yeah, why not? ID is last name, and class is, I'm gonna go with text box because I want all the text boxes to look the same. And then go ahead and close that off, and then go ahead and create a first name, and then input type text again. Nope. Okay, so now again I'm gonna go ahead and create a name. This time it's going to say first name, ID is last name, first name. We actually don't need the ID, but I'm doing it just in case we might need it later on. And then class is also text box. So now if I go ahead and save, and now, oh, I forgot to do one thing. So the form action is that PHP file, but what it's going to do is we want it to post. That way, whenever we go ahead and click on this submit button, it's going to go ahead and send all of these name values to this PHP file. That way the PHP file can access it by doing this. $ last name equals $ underscore post, and then put in the bracket. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take that name, which is last name, right, and then $ first name is the same exact thing, $ underscore post, and then so now I'm gonna go ahead and make it echo this. So $ first name actually I might as well get rid of the doc type HTML for now. I can go ahead and put it back later if I wanted to. Echo first name plus last name. Okay. Your name is so there. Now if I go ahead and save this and then go back to our original quiz, refresh, I now have a last name and a first name input. So my last name, I'm just gonna go ahead and think and do what Google thinks. So Google thinks my first name is Da and my last name is Mahdi03. If I go ahead and submit, it should work. And it doesn't because I forgot how to use strings. Maybe this will work. Yeah, okay. This is where I go into my code that I've written before. Oh, that I did not know. Okay. So it turns out you don't do it like you do it in JavaScript. You just put that around the quotation marks, refresh. Hello world, your name is first name, last name. Perfect. So if I go ahead and submit this form, it should say is, hello world, your name is Damati03. Now using PHP, I'm gonna go ahead and just put in a break. Like that. So now if I go ahead and refresh, it's not gonna have any input because it doesn't have these values. So, but at least we have a break now. So now that we have that covered, I'm going to go ahead and put in a date input. So input type is date. So then I'm going to go ahead and make the name date as well. Or I'm going to go ahead and name it test date. Yeah. And then ID is test date. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the class text box as well because that's what it primarily is. I'll also make a, no, you know, I think that's it actually. Let me go ahead and save that and see how it looks on Google Chrome. Perfect, and then we have the date. Go ahead and select today's date. So now I'm gonna go ahead and echo another break. And then echo. So now I need to go ahead and get another variable. So $, test date. Like I said in my earlier tutorials in JavaScript, I like to go ahead and name, whenever I get something using the get element by ID, I always like to name the variable same thing as the ID. Same with PHP, I always like to name the same thing as the same thing in the name. So the name says test date. So in PHP, I'm going to go ahead and name the variable test date. And I'm going to go ahead and type in $_ post because our method is post. And then go ahead and write test date. And then echo, this test was submitted on, and then $, test date. There, so now if I go ahead and submit, okay, perfect. So now I'm gonna go ahead and make these required. To do that, all you have to do is type required. There, so now we cannot submit our form without, perfect, we cannot submit our form without filling these out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the same last name. If I try submitting now, I still have to fill out this one. So there, if I submit now, still have to put in this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put in today's date. Go ahead and submit. We have hello world, your name is Damati03. This test was submitted on 2018-01-12. Perfect. So now, let's go ahead and create our quiz. So first, I'm going to go ahead and start putting in comments. So this comment is going to say, quick info. This is going to say start quiz because that is what it does. And then I'm going to put in another one that says end quiz. So question number 1. I'm going to go ahead and write, what does HTML stand for? Question mark. Okay, go back. Perfect. We have what does HTML stand for. Now, we're going to go ahead and put in a div. Just a div, nothing else. Inside of this div, I'm going to go ahead and put in 4 inputs. Since I'm going to go ahead and make this... You know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and make this input type text. And class is text box. And name is, let's see, answer 1. Okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. So then I guess we did not need that div. So let me just go ahead and put another div in right here. And then go ahead and paste that end of the div right there. Okay, great. So now go ahead and close this div. That's number 1. Okay, and this is number 2. So again, another H2, and then let's see. What is HTML? So now, this is where we're going to do what I previously said to do. Create a div, and then go ahead and put in input type radio, and then just leave it like that for now. Go ahead and put in 4 of those. I'm just going to go ahead and type it out. Actually, let me just copy and paste. So now, perfect. I now have 4 multiple, oh, okay. So apparently all of these work now. So now what I'm going to do is start putting in names. Name is answer 1A. Let me check if I'm doing this right. I don't think I did that right. I did not do that right. Name is question 1A. Okay. Okay, so I know what to do then. So, never mind. Name is answer 2. And then ID, I guess you can go ahead and also put in answer 2A. And then class is multiple choice. What else did I do? Oh, right, value. That's probably the most important. Value, this is going to be A. And I'm going to go ahead and do a label for, and then the name is, okay, again, I'm getting this wrong. Let's see. Okay, label 4 works with the ID, and the ID is answer to A. Hey, that's funny. It's an answer to A. Okay. And the label is going to read A parentheses space. What is HTML? HTML is a language used in hacking. Now if I save this, I now have one of them. HTML is a language used in hacking. So now go ahead and put another div around these two. Great, so now, again, I'm going to go ahead and put another div right here. Label for answer to B. And it's going to read B parenthesis. HTML is the backbone of most websites. It is used as the skeletal structure in web development. There, save. Right, now I need to go ahead and put in the same name equals answer to, ID is answer to B, class is multiple choice. The only reason we're doing class is when we go ahead and change the CSS. Value is B, and perfect. So now go ahead and do that with all of your other radio inputs. Okay, this is actually going to take me a long time. Okay, label for answer to C. So this is pretty much the basic pattern that we're going to be following to make this test. Let's see, now I need to go ahead and make a fake answer for C. HTML Okay. HTML is used with actually, that's not true. It's not used with PHP. I mean, MySQL. I mean, it is, but indirectly. Okay, so name is answer to, ID is answer to C, class is multiple choice, and value is C. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put in one, after D, I'm gonna go ahead and make an E. One of them is going to be none of the above, and then the other one's gonna be all of the above. So D has to be all of the above, that way E can be none of the above, because if D was none of the above, then E cannot be all of the above. You cannot have none of the above and all of the above at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but oh well. Again, we have to go ahead and put in the name as answer to, because they're all submitted towards the same variable, answer to C. Class is multiple choice, and our value is D. Then go ahead and put a label for, and then go ahead and put in the ID as usual, so that's answer to D, and then close that off, type in the label, So this is going to be all of the above. And then one more div, input type radio. I can never type correctly. Name is answer 2. ID is answer to E. Actually, I messed up by putting answer to C here. That should be answer to D. And then this should be class multiple choice. And value is E. And then one last thing, label for answer to E. E is none of the above. Actually, we can't have this right here. So I need to go ahead and change this to HTML is a language spoken in the Southwest regions of Africa. No, Asia. So now go ahead and refresh after saving, and you should have A, B, C, D, E, and E. Did I say E and E? Oh well. So, and they should not be selecting at the same time. So now you have your first multiple choice question. So actually I need to go ahead and type in 2.0 or 2 space. Great, so now you have what does HTML stand for and what is HTML. So our last name and first name, and then today's date. So let's see. So now anything in the quiz, I'm not going to leave any of it blank, or I'm not going to make any of it required, because some people do not know answers to these, so they will have the option to leave it empty. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a div. There. That way we can go ahead and close this off. Perfect. So now if I save and refresh, there might be another space. Nope. I just lost all my... (2018) 12 1. So now we have hyperdash text markup language and HTML right? So now actually that should be capital. Now if I press submit, all that does is it submits the date and it submits your name. So as of right now, the PHP does not know any of the answers you submitted because we have not created those variables yet. So let me go ahead and do this. Global vars. So it turns out this is how you make a variable. You use a $sign and then the variable name. So I'm going to go ahead and make answer 1 because we made the name right here answer 1. So answer1 equals to $_post. And then this is where you have to start using if and else statements in PHP. $answer2 equals $_post answer2. So right here is where we're going to use if and else statements. So if, oh wait a sec. Yep, I'm doing it right. If answer1 $answer1 equals, and then we want the correct answer to answer1 is hypertext markup language, because that's what HTML stands for. So hyper-text markup language. Go ahead and close it and then do this. So right here we're going to go ahead and type in what's going to happen if answer1 is hypertext markup language. Echo this. You got number 1 correct. It is, and I'm not going to type in the whole thing again, so I'm just going to go and type in answer1. And then go ahead and do this, and do this. And then another if statement. If $answer1 does not equal, oh, is it 2 equal signs? Or is it 1? I totally forgot. It's 2 equal signs. Perfect. Wait, where was I? Okay, right here. Echo this. I'm actually going to go ahead and make a P statement. That way I can make the style equals color green. And then go ahead and close off the P statement. Actually, in HTML, you don't really need to close it off, but in XML, you do. So it's good practice to close things off. And then, again, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste. Echo P, except for this time, since this is going to be if it's incorrect, its style is going to be color red. Actually, I always forget stuff like this. Okay, you got incorrect. 1, 2, 3. The correct answer is and then go ahead, close off that P statement, close off the quote, close off the command, and close off the if statement. So now, if we go ahead and refresh, you got number 1 incorrect. The correct answer is hypertext markup language. The reason it's saying we got it incorrect is because we do not have any values, so the value is automatically set to empty, and empty does not equal hypertext markup language, so we got it incorrect. So now, what if somebody wants to go ahead and type in hypertext markup language like this? Well, they can't, because it will mark him wrong. So to fix that, I'm just going to go ahead and type right here a little P statement, in the HTML. I'm going to go ahead and type in match case. There we got it. I'm actually going to change it to code because code looks a lot better. Even though that's not its use, it looks better. Perfect. Actually, what if I typed remember match case? Remember to match case. Okay. So now our PHP element, or our PHP thing, only grades one of the answers that we have. So now we need to go ahead and make it grade our second answer. And to do that, again, we need to create an if statement. So I'm going to put some space. If $answer2 equals. So the correct answer for answer 2, or number 2, is B. The HTML is the backbone of websites. The value is B. So all we have to do is type in a capital B. Then close off the condition and then do the actual statements. So again, we're going to use echo to write to the document. Another P, style is green. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. You got number 2 correct. It is answer 2. So now I need to go ahead and close off that statement, close it off. And then create another if statement. If answer 2 does not equal B, then go ahead and write this. Make this red. You got number 2 incorrect. The correct answer was B. Okay, then go ahead and close off the quote, close this off, and close this off. One too many spaces. Great, so now we have, so HTML stands for I already have it here. Hypertext Markup Language, and that would be B. My last name, first name, and date, and submit. Perfect, so we got number 1 correct. It is Hypertext Markup Language. I'm going to go ahead and change that to it was. Okay, so now, who's ready to hook it up with a database? Because I know I am. So go ahead and create another PHP file. I don't think that you can add PHP files using Visual Studios, can you? I'm going to go ahead and search PHP. How about online? If I go ahead and search online PHP. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make another PHP file. This time I'm gonna call it setup database for grades. I think that's too much. I don't know. .php. No, I'm just gonna call it setup database. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add it into what? Okay, I guess I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way then. Add HTML page. Go ahead and name it setup database. And then rename as PHP. So we don't need any HTML for this page. All we need is PHP. Okay, so I kind of forgot how to do it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just copy all of this. So we're gonna be using MySQLi to connect, and in order to do this, I already have a database itself made. So I'm just going to go ahead and be creating another table in my database. But for those of you who don't, you guys will have to make your own database, and there's many ways to do this, but not all of them work. So like in the server that I'm using, or in the domain I'm using, we actually cannot make databases from here. You actually have to go to the actual settings on the domain where you control all the htaccess files and stuff, and then you have to go ahead and create a database there, and then go ahead and make your own name and everything. So I have a database already made ahead of time, and in databases you can go ahead and put in usernames and passwords. So I have a username and a password already set up, so I'm gonna go ahead and put those in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new variable called server name, and then that's going to be the name of your domain. So you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy all of this. So we need 4 variables. They are $server name with your server name on there, your username, which is $username is what I'm going to be using, and then go ahead and make a variable password with the password, and a variable database name. So now this is just a testing password. This is not my real password. I will go ahead and change it later. So now go ahead and put in another space. And then we're going to go ahead and make a variable called connection, or CONN. And then the variable equals MySQLi underscore connect. Go ahead and close the parentheses. And then go ahead and just put all of these there next to each other. Like this. Now enter down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the if. So now this code, what this does is it goes ahead and checks if the connection worked. So right here, all of this code is just to connect to the database. So what you do is the first 4 lines of code right here, these go ahead and make variables. These variables don't do anything. Then you use this command MySQLi underscore connect, and then you go ahead and use your first variable, which has a value of this, your domain. The second variable, your username for the database. Your second variable, or your third variable, is the password for the database. And then the fourth variable is the database name, like what the database is called. So then you go ahead and then the next line of code says if connection doesn't work, if connection fails, then go ahead and die connection failed, and then you go ahead and write the MySQLi Connect error. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save as is. So this is web quiz, and then you have to go ahead and run it yourself. So you have to go to setup database, because that's what I called my file. It's a PHP file, so I don't have to change the extension. It's going to say nothing. Perfect, that means it worked. Oh, sorry. So now you have to go ahead and then write echo connected successfully. That way you know it's connected successfully. So that means my database is yet to be deleted, therefore it can connect. So if I refresh, perfect. Since it's displaying connected successfully and it's not deleting everything else on the page and then writing connection failed and then writing an error, it's writing the normal code. That means it's connected successfully. Now we need to do the actual code, and to do that, we need to know a little bit of MySQL. So MySQL is actually not that hard. I just forget it all the time. So okay, maybe it's a little hard. So the MySQL code that we're going to be using is we're going to be creating a table. I'm going to go ahead and name it the same thing I named my folder, web quiz. I'm going to go ahead and actually name it web quiz results. So that's going to be the table inside of the database. A database can store many tables. This database is storing probably 20 tables by now. So each of these, each row you see here is a row in a table. So so right here, I've already had code written down for a certain test that I was making. And so some of the variables, or some of the rows I have, the first row's name is ID, which in int means integer. So, and then unsigned means, okay, I actually forgot. Auto increment means that it'll go up on its own, and it's the primary key, which means you cannot have more than one of the same. So the ID is like a number that's set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it just keeps going higher. Then you have the first name variable, or you have the first name row, where the first name of the people in our test is going to go. So anything that's put into this field right here is going inside of that row. Then we have the last name row, and then we have the date row, and then we have a period row for high schools and middle schools. And then we have test time. What that is I went ahead and set up a input somewhere, I'm pretty sure. That's not it. I think I can go ahead and close this. So what the test time is since you get to go ahead and choose your own date on this page right here, whoever is looking at the database or the scores will not know if you actually took the test during class or if you went home and then took it and then looked it up online. So that's why I have in the background, I'll actually show you guys later how that works, but for now I'm gonna go ahead and stick to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a table in MySQL. So the way we use MySQL code, if you haven't seen already, is we set it as a string in PHP. So this is the variable right here, $SQL. So that's this whole all of this code right here is just text. It's just text to the PHP until you go ahead and query it like this. So as soon as you run the query in the if statement, you run the query with the connection. So you go ahead and put the SQL code or the string with the connection, and then if it works correctly, it's going to go ahead and echo table results created successfully. And if not, it's going to echo the error creating table and then what error you actually have. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this code, but I will go ahead and show you guys what to type. Perfect. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and type all caps create table, and then I'm going to go ahead and then you go ahead and put in your table name. It doesn't have to be all caps. For me, I'm going to do this, web quiz results. Then you're going to go ahead and open a parentheses, kind of like in JavaScript when you do curly brackets for a function. That's kind of what you're going to do. So then you're going to go ahead and put in the code that goes inside the quote-unquote function. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this ID, and then you have to type in all caps int because it's an integer if you want to keep the ID. And then everything that describes the row name is in all caps. So you can just go ahead and turn on your caps lock and then go ahead and type all of this if you'd like. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'll keep this the same. So I have a row first name, and the maximum characters that you can go ahead and type in it when you submit is 20. And it's not null, meaning that if you type it inside, or if it's left empty inside the database, which it can't because it's a required form, or since it's required in the HTML, but if it is ever left empty, the MySQL fills it up with a certain data. I don't know what it fills it up with. The last name, that's another row name, and then we have the varchar again, and then that's 20 characters maximum inside that row, and then, or inside that column. Then test date 10 characters maximum, and test time is 10 characters maximum. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this period number because we're not doing that. Test score is an integer. I actually haven't showed you guys what that is yet, and I will actually go ahead and put it in right now. So $test score is the total correct, that's what it is, total correct divided by, and then the number of questions we're going to have. I'm going to go ahead and put in 10 questions. So, and then, dang it, why am I forgetting everything? Okay, time to go ahead and open it up again. Total correct is 0, total correct plus plus. Great. That's how it works. Okay, so and then set a variable total correct right above it. Actually, we have to set this more higher. Total correct equals 0. So then in the if statement, you're going to go ahead and, I think I can do it like this then. Go ahead and enter down 1, 2, 1, 2, $, total correct, plus plus. So what the plus plus does, that's funny, the plus plus increments the numbers. So let's say you have it 0 and then you get this correct. What it's going to do is it's going to turn that number into 1. And then let's say you get number 2 wrong, it's going to keep it as number 1. Total correct plus plus. Perfect. And then So now I'll go ahead and at the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and put in echo. Echo, you got $ test score. No, $ total correct. Divided by 10. I actually think I need to put a space. No, maybe not. I'll see later. And then which amounts to a $ test score. Perfect. So now if I go ahead and submit, you got a 2 out of 10, which amounts to a 0.2. So I want that in percent, and in order to do that in percent, we need to go ahead and multiply times 100. So let's do some math. Right here, test score, go ahead and put this right here in a percent, and then use the asterisk 100. So now if you go ahead and go back and then submit, which amounts to a 20, then write the percent sign. You got a 0 to 10, which amounts to a 0%. If I go back, submit, since we got both of them correct, you got a 20%. Perfect. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a period, save. Now let's get back to our setting up the database. So that's what the test score does. It's going to be, maybe I should have another one too. Let me see how many I have. I have a test score and a total correct. I think I'll just keep the test score, which is the percentage. Then I have all of the answers that they actually put in. So, let's see. We only have 10 answers, so I need to get rid of these 2 lines. So then what I did was I just renamed all these, since I have all of the names and IDs as answer 1, answer 2, answer 3, answer 4. I went ahead and saved all of these as answers in rows. And then I have an if statement, table results. I'm going to go ahead and rename this, or rewrite this as web quiz results. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this again as HTML quiz. While I still have time. And then go ahead and save. Then I need to go ahead up here and rename this folder as HTML quiz. Then let's see what grade.php has. I already have it open. Okay, I can go ahead and close you. Index.html has the same thing. Okay, so I can go ahead and close you for now. So great, now we have our code to create a table, but the table has not been created yet. The reason it has not been created is because we need to run this code. And this code runs as soon as we load this web page, so we need to go ahead and follow this link. So I went ahead and renamed this as HTML quiz. And this is called setup database. Now you only need to run it once, because if it works, let's see. Perfect, it works. connected successfully, table HTML quiz results created successfully. If we go ahead and load it again, there's going to be an error because it already exists. So now we can go ahead and close that. If you want to keep that for later reference like I did, and I just used that for later reference, you can, else you can get rid of it. I just said else. Who says else? Okay. So now I need to go ahead and open a file. So now I have 2 questions and a database and a PHP that grades them. So this grade.php has to be able to connect to that database. So I have to go ahead and follow this same code here. And this time I need this PHP code to go ahead and submit all of this to the... Okay, let me see if I can find that. So I can go ahead and close index.html for now. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the echo hello world because that was just there for an example. And I'm gonna go ahead and replace it with variables such as server name equals, let me go ahead and actually decapitalize that, hsmscreativitycenter.org. Yes, it's finally working. No more tabs, no more. Yay! It's closing quotes too. Now $username equals, and then what was the fake password that I used? Where do I find that? I'm just copying. Oh, okay. There it is. Control C. Perfect. HTML. Perfect. Connected successfully. So now I need to go ahead and post all of this info to the database. To do so, I already have that saved somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it's in here. Yep, there it is. There it is right there, test date and test time. So let me go ahead and put that. I guess I can go ahead and just copy and paste this. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here. So that date that the users put in has no effect now, because the date that we're going to be putting in the database, which the teacher or the administrator of the website is going to be seeing, is the date of the time it is actually put into the database, which is when they press that submit button. And the test time right here, hours, minutes, and then seconds. And then date in days, months, and then years. I think that's, no. I'm gonna go ahead and put D right here and put an M right there. Months, days, and then years. So now I need to go ahead and find out how to, there it is. So again, we have to use MySQL. Now I just remembered everything that we need to go ahead and do. So now we need that, where is it? Now we need the setupdatabase.php open because this is our only means of viewing the database. There's no way to view a MySQL database unless you use PHP to take out all the value and make your own HTML table, and then use the PHP to put it inside that HTML table. We will be doing that, but for now, we're just going to stick to the setupdatabase.php. So, okay, so now that we're connected successfully, we have this right here. Okay, so right after it writes everything to the actual page, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the actual code right here. So put results into database. And if you haven't noticed, putting comments into PHP is the same thing as putting comments into JavaScript. So in order to put the results into our database, we need to go ahead and create another variable called SQL. If we have that variable already, we cannot. We do not have that variable, therefore we can go ahead and create it. Again, it's going to be a string, and it's going to be insert, go ahead and just turn on caps lock, into, and then we have a parentheses, right? Yes, we do. So the way this works is we have a first name and then we have a last name. So we are not going to go ahead and put, oh, that's what the unsigned means now. Unsigned means that you cannot go ahead and put in any value for the ID because it is automatically created. So first name is our first thing that we're going to go ahead and insert into. So go ahead and just write first name the same way that you wrote it on the database setup. Then go ahead and write all of the ones that you want to fill in. So in our case, since we're trying to make an HTML quiz and we have all of these, I'm going to go ahead and write in all of these. So first name, comma, last name, comma, oh, that's cool, I have everything here. Test date, comma, test time. Answer 1, comma, answer 2, comma, answer 3, comma, answer 4, comma, answer 5, comma, answer 6. Wait, how long are you supposed to actually do this? Oh, okay, that's how it works. Okay, and it goes all the way, right? Again, no semicolons because it's MySQL. But yes, that's how you do it. Okay, so just keep writing this in with commas. Answer 6, since we're going to have 10, you should end up at answer 10, answer 7, answer 8, answer 9, and answer 10. Then you go ahead and enter down. Again, turn on your caps lock, type in values. Okay, really quickly, I'm just going to check on who's watching. Hey, one person's actually watching. I think I'm the only person watching. That's funny. Okay. So then, into values, you're going to go ahead and type in the same values. So whatever you're going to put in the first name row is going to be what you're going to be typing here. So we don't have any of these values yet, but I'm still going to put them in. So let's see, we have the first name variable, and that's what we want to put into the first name row of our database. So just go ahead and write $ first name. Then whatever we want to put into the last name row. So we want to go ahead and put in our variable last name. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Then we need to go ahead and put in our test date and our test time. Uh-oh. Oh no, never mind. We have a test score too. So test date, test time, and then right after test time comes test score. And then just put a little space right here. So, and then since I was smart enough to go ahead and rename the variables all the same, all I have to do is type in the same exact thing with $signs in front of every single one of these. Okay, it's freaking out. There it is. So let's see. You can go ahead and delete the last name. And if you didn't, then you can go ahead and pause this video and then go ahead and write it down right now. Oh, hashtags also do comments, I forgot. So now, as of now, we don't have any of these variables called yet, because, or at least we don't have any of these, or most of these variables defined, but that's okay, because we're not going to have any of these variables defined until we create the questions. Oh, that's it. And then you go ahead and put a semicolon if I'm correct. Yes, I'm correct. I'm always correct. So now, go ahead and do the... Okay, so now we do if statements. If MySQLi query, and then go ahead and grab your first variable, which is your connection, right here. So $CONN, comma, $SQL. And that's it. So then go ahead and close this, because you have to have these parentheses. And then go ahead and call some certain code. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and echo your test results. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys some time to go ahead and catch up. Okay, so that should have been enough time for you guys to catch up. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue. So now we're going to go ahead and create an else statement that's going to echo. Okay. Let's see how that works. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and type in error. And then the way to put PHP code inside of a string is, or inside of an echo command, is to use a, so this is how you do it. A space, period, space, and then go ahead and put in the $SQL, space, period, space, and then go ahead and then just put a HTML break. And so in a break, that's the start tag, and that's pretty much the end tag, or the close tag. Then space, period, space, we're gonna go ahead and type in MySQLi connect error. No, I don't think it's connect error, I think it's just error. And then go ahead and type in between the two parentheses $connection, or whatever it is that you named that variable. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And then we can go ahead and save. And then go ahead and check it out. So I went ahead and renamed it HTML quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and last name user, first name user, and then the date at this point has no matter. Like, it doesn't matter what date I put in. Remember to match case. What does HTML stand for? It stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML. Perfect. So submit. Okay, so we have an error. Check the manual. So we got 2, which amounts to a 20%, right? And then we have our error right here. So we have values. Because, okay, you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL Server version for the right syntax to use near first name, comma, last name, comma, test date, comma, test time, comma, test score. Answer 1, answer 2, and answer 3. Okay, something's wrong in our code. Yay. Let me see. So it says what? First name, last name, test date, test time, test score, answer 1, answer 2, answer 3. So I'm going to go ahead and look off of this one again. Oh, right. You have to go ahead and put in the table name. I'm sorry I did not say that earlier. The table name, I made it was HTML quiz results. Perfect. Now if you go ahead and save and refresh, why not? Another one, that's great. What did I get wrong this time? Hypertext markup language. Maybe it's all these empty variables then. So now we have to go ahead and name all these empty variables, and these empty variables are very easy and simple to name. Answer 3 equals $_post answer 3. I think it would have been smarter if we had gone ahead or gone back and finished our quiz, but I'm already on this path, so I will go ahead and do this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write in all of these. Oof, this is gonna take forever. Answer 6 equals $_post. Answer 6, and then answer 7 equals $_post. And then the name is answer 7. Then $. Answer 8 equals $_post. Right. And then answer 8 $. I'm just gonna answer 9 and answer 10. Perfect. Now if I go ahead and refresh, continue, that's great. Still have an error, and that's in these. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and look at all this. Of course it is. You have to go ahead and put in single quotes around every single variable. This is the process of programming. You make a mistake and then you pay for it. Then you fix the mistake only to find another mistake. And then when that mistake is been fixed, there's another mistake as soon as you press that refresh button. So to keep it really pithy, that refresh button is both your friend and your enemy at the same time when web developing. Perfect. Now if I try saving it and refresh one last time, perfect. Now it works. If I submit, perfect. Your test results have been submitted. Perfect. So now maybe I can go ahead and do a % sign right there. So now we can't really look at our database unless you have the one where you have to go to your domain and then you have to create the database there. So other than that, we really can't see our database. We just know that the results have been submitted. But what if we want to see the results? Because we want to be able to put in the scores into their grade books, or if you're making a test for children, Or if you're just making a test in general for the outside world, you want to see how many people have been submitting results. And to do that, we have to create one more PHP file. So I'm going to go ahead and add another HTML page. And this HTML page, I'm going to go ahead and call it a view database. So when it loads, it'll be an HTML document. So I'm going to go ahead and rename it as a PHP document, but this time I'm going to go ahead and keep all of this doc type HTML and anything underneath it. So instead I'm going to enter down and then go ahead and put in the PHP code right here. Okay, so I will actually go ahead. I actually have to go somewhere, so I will be right back.